Stepping into a doorway in my mind. This is where you live. It's where you live.
And this is the biography of George Anthony Richardson, or Tony, written by him in the year 2005 at 19 Langi Place, Ocean Shores, New South Wales, Australia. He's my life. I was born on the 26th of May 1923 and lived at Holland Hill House in the village of Hampstead, Bishop Auckland, County Durham, England. At that time, I had 2 older sisters and 1 brother. My father was a farmer, and I had several uncles and aunts who were also farmers. My grandparents retired from farming and lived nearby, and their home was a great attraction for all the young children living nearby. When I was about 4 years old, or young, our family moved to a village called Yarm, near the town of Stockton-on-Tees, County Durham. And about 2 years later, we again moved to the town of Stockton itself. These were the years of the Great Depression, and my father had entered into a coal mining business venture. It failed, along with other businesses throughout the country at this time. This sad period continued when our mother took ill with pneumonia, and a few months after Joyce was born, Mother died. My brother Bob and I went to a good foster home for boys, and my older sisters to a similar home for girls. Joyce was adopted out by a couple from a nearby town. My father, who had fought in the First Great War, 1914 to 1918, had been twice wounded and classed as a disabled serviceman. He was able to get us all into a special schools for orphan children. So in 1932, at the age of 9, my brother and I went to the Duke of York's Royal Military School near the southern town of Dover, which was a boarding school to prepare us for entry into the army. Apart from the normal education and military training, each boy was taught an additional trade. And so it was, at this time, it was decided I become a musician, which eventually got me into the school band as a euphonium player. Big deal. In 1938, when I left the school and joined the army as a musician, and shortly afterwards, the Second War had broken out. Sound right, does it?
Yeah, missing a comma or something. I don't know. Sounds fine.
Can you detect that?
Yeah.
By 1940, the Germans had overrun the whole of Europe, including France, and it was when the British Prime Minister Winston Churchill told us by radio the Battle of Britain was about to begin. It was at this time that I left the band in Edinburgh and went down to the south of England to be trained as a tank driver. Then you don't pay for it.
It'll be under.
In early 1942, what a mess this is. In early 1942, my brother Bob let me know that there was a vacancy for a tank driver in his unit, which was the 1721st Lancers. I applied for it and was accepted. My first tank was equipped for aircraft protection and had 4 heavy machine guns mounted in the turret. We named it Hell's a Poppin'. We did several months intensive training, and in November 1942 we departed by troop ship through the port of Glasgow for an unknown destination. Our convoy of ships was well protected by our navy as we zigzagged in the Atlantic Ocean to avoid German submarines until several days later we entered the Mediterranean Ocean through the Straits of Gibraltar. Later that day we landed at the port of Algiers in Algeria, and several hours later we were on our way east through the foothills of the Atlas Mountains. 3 days later we reached the borders of Tunisia, where we had our first engagement with the enemy. However, it is worth mentioning an incident which took place during this time. A lot of our journey was done at night. By moonlight, without lights,